So I may as well start this video off with giving you guys a little bit of a reveal of a secret in my life. I have always loved Dungeons and Dragons.
I am Colder the Witch Hunter.
And how could anyone blame me? It is the ultimate game in a sense. You have a DM, your characters affect the world, which is one of the things that I've always wanted in a game, and it's something that I can never really find. Nothing really scratched that itch until I started playing D&D. But D&D is somewhat limiting in that you're generally confined to playing with maybe 4 or 5 people, maybe a few more than that, maybe a few less, whatever it is. And you're set on a board. The world is being created as you walk it, but it's all set in a world that's being created on the fly generally. And although I do love that because it gives you a chance to sort of RP your character out fully as they would, I want to introduce you to something else. So welcome to Arelith. Now here's the kicker. Everything that you just saw in those few snippets of gameplay that I showed you, those are all players. Every single person you saw, another player in the game, busy doing something, somewhere or another, and had a path that sort of intersected with my character's path in one way or another. The most succinct way for me to summarize Arelith would be to say that it's a bit like World of Warcraft, where you RP as your character, so on an RP server, an RP server that isn't dead. But instead of the world being static, you affect the world. And your effect is as big as your character is, effectively. It's how much you can put into your character, how far you're willing to go. Everything in the world is malleable. That's the most beautiful thing about it. The DMs really care about this place. And I think that the server owner really knows what he's doing. So what you're seeing here is me just logging in. I just logged in at the moment. I'm busy walking around the hub in the Underdark. If you know D&D, then you'll know what the Underdark is. In a city known as Andenor, which is a trade hub for the, let's say, the lower lives of this world. I'm busy strolling here up to a whole bunch of other characters in front of me. So you can see Karstag on the left there, who's quite a figure in the Underdark. And then a few others that are just around. Everyone you see here is a player. So that little bar at the bottom left there, that's the text bar. That's me busy speaking to them and emoting with them and everything. This sort of extends into a duel. I don't really want to show you everything about that because it's a bit boring. But Karstag wishes to duel me. I just want to show you some run-of-the-mill gameplay that you'd be doing. It is very combat orientated, the server, so you need to have a build that's pretty decent. But thankfully there is a Discord server where you can do that on. But you can see I'm just chatting to them. Normal things, nothing too exciting. But it is the most beautiful thing. There's so much story to these characters that you see in front of you. I don't want to say anything because it's quite taboo to actually speak about a character out of the game. But there's so much just lying under the surface right here and now. It's a bit interesting. So my character's busy speaking about a tournament that happened. This happened a couple weeks ago now. But I wanted to invite them to this tournament to come and watch, basically. There's a Coliseum in Andenor, which is a city we're in. And that's it. You can just see me busy typing. There's a few little bits and pieces that I emote in there. It's because he's speaking a language called Undercommon. So some things you want to say in common, like names, pronouns, stuff like that. I don't know about pronouns, but yeah, still. You want to be a bit careful with the RP. And there we go, she says yes, come to the tournament, blah blah blah. You can see a character in the background. That's actually a slave. My character is also a slave, so he's owned, which is hilarious. Being a slave is quite intense. It's quite intense. And there we go, Karstag just said he wishes to duel. I say yes, of course, I'm a sucker for a good duel. And that's it. Pretty interesting. So then the next footage that I have over here is a lot less personal, let's say, and it's a bit more widespread. So as you can see, there's a giant wedding going on. I don't know how obvious it is that it's a wedding, but it's a wedding. And every single person you can see me busy panning the camera around, those are other players. So this world is really, really massive. All of these players have so much history to them. They're not just World of Warcraft characters that sort of grind and level up and that's the end of it. Well, some of them maybe. Some of them maybe, but because of the RP side, there's so much more to a character than that, which is quite cool because World of Warcraft nails that social side. This takes it to a whole nother level, which is awesome. I was sort of expecting someone to come in and blow this place up, to be honest, but they didn't. And that doesn't happen on Arelith very often, so don't worry. So quick pause in the video for something that happened while I was busy editing this video. I have been on a somewhat big hiatus from YouTube recently, and it was because of the server, effectively. I've been working on this massive series about the server, about a new character that I made. So my current character's name was Jace. He's dead now. I'll explain that a bit later. I said that a bit solemnly. I did feel a very strong connection to him though. He died, and I had a new series where I've recorded every single bit of footage with a character called Shay. And Shay was going to be this new sort of video series that I wanted to put out to sort of show off Arelith. It isn't going to happen anymore. Now, I will explain why at the end of the video, but just so you know why I haven't been around. But Arelith truly is an absolutely amazing, beautiful server. And the people who run it really do genuinely love it. And I think it's quite unheard of these days, especially in this lockdown time. Everyone's sort of crowding around the server, and I think it's been great. So here's a player bio by Hildy. I think this is a pretty amazing bio. It's something that goes quite into detail. So obviously you want a bio to descript your character from a slight view. You know, let's say you're looking at them from 5 to 10 meters away, tell you what you're seeing about your character. Their accent, for example, is also a big one because obviously this is Forgotten Realms. And Arelith is just an island where tons of different cultures come and clash, effectively. So to start off on Arelith, you need to have the game Neverwinter Nights Extended Edition. You can get it on Steam. They go for cheap often. I mean, you can find this game for like $3 to $4 sometimes. It is basically nothing. That's all you need. So buy the game, find the server Arelith, Corridor, and Plains. It might be Cities and Plains. I can't actually remember if they changed it yet. And log into that server. It'll prompt you to download a whole bunch of add-ons for the game because obviously Neverwinter Nights is a very old game. Arelith is still quite new, so they have a whole lot of add-on packs. And get going. Everything else is explained in-game. The most important thing is to always keep things in character though. You cannot talk to other players. The thing you can do is send them a tell. So you can see on my screen there's a bit of green lettering. That's sending people tells, which can be out of character. Oh, they are out of character. Everything else is completely in character. You need to emote what you're doing. You need to emote what you're thinking sometimes. So if you look at something with a certain way, you know, if you look at something hungrily, you can see when someone's doing that, even though it's sort of a thought that they're having. The more you do, the more detail you put in, the better of an RP I consider people to be. I think that's the best way to RP things, not the massive world clashing events. But let's talk about those massive world clashing events. I have plenty of examples that I could give that would talk about these massive world clashing events that I just spoke of. Although my favorite RP is definitely the small scale things, so it's just one-on-ones most of the time, or maybe groups of 3 to 4. And you just go walking around with them. But there's tons of things. The biggest example I have though is the city of Wharftown. So there used to be several cities in game. I don't really want to talk about all of them, just to leave you with that little bit of wonder that everyone has when they first start in the game. But there was a city called Wharftown, and Wharftown was a very much almost chaotic neutral town. So if you wanted to be good or bad or whatever, you generally got away with it in Wharftown. And due to player events and other things happening on the side, the DMs actually destroyed the city. And you can go and visit the ruins of it. So players used to have houses here, they used to have businesses here, all sorts of things. And this whole city was just destroyed. As in a nearby country, I don't want to say who, came in and literally just wiped it off the face of the planet. Which is just hilarious, but things like that can happen. And all the time they're adding in new things here and there. Big updates come on, they just come and go most of the time. I'm not going to speak on it any more than that, just because it is quite taboo to talk about things out of character on Arelith, to discuss events that happen in game, mostly because things are quite secretive. You can play an evil character and be quite evil, and I don't mean an evil character who just goes ahead and twirls his mustache and talks about world domination, but someone who's very subtle in the way that they're evil. But if you have the backing in-game to do something like destroying a city, and you give a good enough reason to do it, you can get pretty far, which is why I love Arelith. I have loved the server since the first day that I started playing on it, and I've been completely hooked on it. It's such an addictive feeling. The world building is so vast and so detailed, and that's primarily because it's done by players. Most of the things in game, the events that happen in game, are done by players. All the cities are led by players, or at least have massive factions that are leading them, which is just such a nuanced thing, but it really is just so beautiful. So go ahead and buy Neverwinter Nights Extended Edition. It's $4. I don't think most are gonna miss it. And hop in, get in game, see what you think. Once you're in game though, the world is your oyster. As of time of recording, you can choose where you want to start, so you can be a pirate, or you can go start in Andor if you want to play a drow. Or you can start in Corridor, which is the most common one. Once you're in Corridor though, there are always tons of people around just to ask for directions, in character of course, and speak with them, see what you can do. There's writs, which are the Arelith equivalent of quests, and they can get you going pretty quickly. Have a decent build though, so join the Arelith Discord and find a build that you like, because this is D&D, so if you're just going in and doing random builds, it's not going to work, unfortunately. It's not like World of Warcraft, which does most of the work for you. You need to think ahead. But now we get to the sad part of the video. I have been working on a series for the better part of about 4 months now, during this entire lockdown period from the beginning of it, being very careful not to record things that I don't want other characters in game to see, as in by putting it on YouTube. And whilst in the middle of editing this first prior video, I was actually banned. The details of my ban are a little bit iffy at the moment, and it's with a bit of a heavy heart that I sort of say goodbye to Arelith while I implore you to go say hello to it, in a sense. I'm not overly happy with it. In fact, it's made me incredibly sad. And I probably will speak about the details of the ban in a future video coming up. I don't know when. As I said though, I have a backlog of recordings that I would love to make a series on Arelith. I don't know if I will anymore though, because the character, obviously I can't finish his story, but the entire time it's been amazing. And once again, please go try the server out, just give it a whirl. If you don't like it, then fine, that's good, but it is truly something else. And again, I might put out a series or two, we'll see. It was an epic series, I just want to say that, quickly. I have like 36 hours of footage, I think, that I selectively recorded, not just hit record, played the game. Yeah, anyways, that doesn't happen with Remold. But just for the people who are here for the regular channel, I am back now, now that I have my free time back. So I'll be back to making the regular videos. Can't wait to talk to you guys again. It has been too long, I think. It has.